Time is tight. We have the privilege of hearing from the member, the honorable member, I should rephrase that, for St. Joseph. I bring to you the Honorable Dale Marshall, the Attorney General.
Hallelujah. When I wake up in the morning and I see the sun, I send up praises, yeah. I know it's a privilege, yeah, to be alive. Oh yeah. From the rising to the setting.
One missing. Claire missing. Good night, friends, family. Good night to the members of the Barbados Labour Party, to the supporters. Good night to the people who are viewing us online. I am happy to see you. A year ago, or a little over a year ago, some of us were a little nervous, nah? I remember the now Prime Minister, then Leader of the Opposition. She was describing the days to the next election, and she was talking about 5 sleeps, and then 4 sleeps, and then 3 sleeps, 2 sleeps, 1 sleep, clean sweep. But before I was a politician, I was a Sunday school boy. And I want to begin to share with you for the next few minutes. We're reminding you about a passage in the Bible, Luke 12:48. And I know some of you have your phones, so you're checking it online. Let me tell you what Luke 12:48 says. It says, to whom much is given, of him much is expected. To whom much is given, of him much is expected. And the people of this country came out and gave us every single seat. They gave us every single box except for 2 in St. John. And I want to say to the people tonight that the Barbados Labour Party understands that in return for your giving us that much, you are not only entitled to expect a lot, it is our duty to deliver a lot. And the last year has not been easy. It has been a year of sleepless nights. It's been a year of long days. It reached the point almost whenever my phone rang, I would almost get a heart attack because I didn't know what the voice on the other line would be saying. But we have made it this far. And I don't know when the Prime Minister is even going to begin to think about the next election, but I want to assure you that every single member of the Barbados Labour Party team, every single one of us, will labor night and day, give all that we have, so that we can deliver to the people of this country. You know, we think that the last election was a battle, but that was a skirmish. Because the real battles that we are facing have been battles to provide the people of St. Joseph with water. The battle of trying to provide the people of Barbados with a proper bus service. The battle of trying to provide proper health care. And we may have won the election, but those battles have not yet been won. And you know, we have a lot of detractors. There are some people in this country headed by one Verla de Pisa and another one Guyson Mears. And every week they're trying to find something to pick at. They have no shame. How could somebody who has been a part of a party that has not bought a bus criticize the Barbados Labour Party because we have too few buses? If you've never fixed the road, how can you criticize us because you say the roads are not as they should be? How can you do that? We have been working night and day. And you know, as a team, everybody is not going to score a goal. Now, our famous footballer now is Wilfred. I don't know where he is, but hats off to him. Wilfred is our goal scorer. And the Prime Minister is our goal scorer. I am just I'm in the supporting cast. You know, they had a Calypsonian named Juke Check ED shirt with brass and background vocals. I'm just the background vocals. But I'm taking my background vocal job very seriously. And I've been asked to report to you on some of the things that I have been able to achieve. But let me begin by saying that I don't think that I have achieved anything. I think that the team BLP has been achieving. So I don't take any credit. I am the Attorney General, yes. And there's a lot that is weighing on my shoulders. But I know that I could not do it without the support of my family, without the support of my friends, without the support of my parliamentary and cabinet colleagues, and without your support. So any credit that I get for doing something, no matter how small, I promise you it is credit for you and credit for the Barbados Labour Party. But they've told me that I have to tell you what has been happening in my portfolio for the last year. Now, I thought that you would know, because there are some people who say that they only see me on TV. But I am still here to account. When we came to government, we came to a court that was non-functioning. We came to a backlog of cases in the civil jurisdiction of many, 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 many thousands. We came to find a backlog of over 1,000 cases waiting for a trial in the High Court in the criminal division. Those are the things that we came and found. For years, we have been preaching to the government of the day that they needed to take the issue of gun violence seriously, but whenever we spoke about it, Frandel Stewart would say that people are still able to go to work and the electricity is still on, so we don't have anything to worry about. There's a famous attorney general who, when they had a shootout on Kadooment Day, couldn't be found because he said none of his 2 cell phones weren't working. We came to find a level of don't-carishness that had beset our country, but we came to put things right. And if you want to know what we've done about the court system, today, the Supreme Court in White Park Road is back in business. We have increased the number of courtrooms to now 15. We had 8 judges who were laboring under the worst pressure, so much so that getting decisions out of them was like pulling teeth. In fact, it was worse than pulling teeth, and in many respects, it still is. But I believe that over the last 3 to 4 weeks, you would have been seeing advertisements in your newspapers advertising for judges. I remember hearing Adriel Braffett saying in Parliament, we're going to bring more judges. Didn't do a thing. Didn't do a thing. But we have put a new system in place for the appointment of judges. We are recruiting judges because we are not satisfied that the people of Barbados should have a case pending for 10 years and 5 years and 4 years without getting justice. How can we claim to be a just society if people cannot get justice from our courts? And on the criminal side of things, do you know that we've had 26 murders for the year? I count them every day. 26 murders. And of those 26, 15 were by firearms. 15. Last year they had a total of 27 murders for the entire year. But up to the end of May, this little beautiful Barbados is struggling under the weight of 26 murders, some of which you know were callous in public places, top of Baxter's Road, Sheraton Mall in broad daylight. A country does not get there overnight. And for years we have been preaching about grappling with the issue of firearms. We've been praying, preaching, begging. We've said to the government of the day, the Democratic Labour Party, we will meet you halfway and do what it takes to rescue our country. And we were ignored. And the chickens have now come home to roost. And the Barbados Labour Party is now left to deal with their problem that should have been dealt with 5 years ago, 7 years ago, 10 years ago. But I'm not complaining, because we are going to get it done. We're going to get it done. And in order to make sure that that is done, we have provided the port with the necessary financials to be able to bring in new scanners to stop the guns from coming in. It will be the job of the police to deal with the ones that are here now. You know, the people cried out, give us an amnesty. We want a gun amnesty. We gave them a gun amnesty. 38 guns, 842 bullets. And the very next week, people still getting shot. But you can't say you didn't get the amnesty. And when we gave the amnesty and we said it was for 1 week, they said, oh Lord, no, that's not enough. You got to give us more time. More time to do what? If you have an illegal gun, how long does it take for you to decide to hand it in? You don't need more time. I said this morning in church that it takes a village to raise a child. It's an old African proverb. But when you look at what is going on in our nation, you begin to recognize that some of our villages are not interested in raising children anymore. I repeat time and time again that the young men who were out there shooting guns went to our Sunday schools. They went to Foundation and Combermere and Harrison College and Lodge. They didn't only go to the newer secondary schools. They come from in our communities. And there was probably a time when they pass an adult, they would say good morning or good evening. But somewhere along the way, those young men have gone astray. And we have determined to do all that we need to do to rescue those young men. And the young women too, because they need some help. As far as the police force is concerned, when we came to government, we found a police force that was riddled with political influence. The politicians were calling the police day after day, telling them do this and do that. Investigate this and investigate that. That has come to an end. Because we understand that there is a reason why our Constitution says that the government cannot give police operational instructions. They have to be allowed to do their duty. And I'm so pleased that you opened your paper today and you saw that there are significant changes within the force in terms of promotions to higher ranks. Because we have been working with a police force that has been unchanged for the last 50 years, but we expect it to function in accordance with changing times. And now we have 2 deputy commissioners of police and additional assistant commissioners of police so as to be able to strengthen the leadership of the force. The Prime Minister understood the importance of many hands making light work. Well, if it is important for Barbados and our cabinet, why would it not be important for the Royal Barbados Police Force? And we've come to government and we've given the police additional funding, additional resources, additional equipment, so as to be able to help them do the job. And we've added the BDF to that profile as well, so as to be able to help them to do even more. Every single day we tackle these issues and wrestle them to the ground. It's going to take us a while before we get gun violence eradicated from our country. And I know that some of you in the in-between times when we haven't had a shooting, you will say, oh, things are looking up. We're feeling better. But don't be lulled into that. Don't be lulled into that. We have intelligence which tells us what to expect and sometimes when to expect it. The issue of gun violence cannot be overturned in 1 year. But I promise you we will do everything that we can to eradicate it from the landscape of this country. The other thing that is attracting a lot of our attention is the matter of corruption. And you know, I know that for the longest time you've been waiting to hear that so-and-so can get charged and so-and-so can get locked up. And I know you're calling the names. I hear you calling the names. But let me tell you that Keith Rowley in Trinidad got elected a few years ago. In fact, his next election is due next year. And they were only able to bring charges against corrupt politicians 3 weeks ago. It isn't for want of will. It is because this kind of crime does not readily leave fingerprints. It isn't done in the sight of cameras. It is done by stealth and in the dead of night. And it takes a lot of effort to root it out. Both the Prime Minister and I have now started to tell people, do not waste our time. Why? Because they will come and tell you, man, you know, I know about so-and-so. I know about this. And you say to them, well, come and give me the evidence that I need. And they tell you, man, no, I can't do that. I can't do that because I still have to do business in this country. Those are the kinds of things that we're fighting with. But I promise you that we are investigating and we are bringing in people from overseas to aid in those investigations. We are giving it everything that we have to make sure that the people of Barbados get and see results. I know you can't wait. I can't wait either. But please be patient. The old people always say what don't happen in a year. It's happened in a day. We are on this matter of corruption. But we are also on it in a way that I want to tell you is equally important. Because not only is it important for us to deal with the past, a government is also about looking to the future. And so important it is to us that we root out this issue of corruption, that we have passed several laws so as to be able to make sure that the landscape that we leave is free of corruption for generations to come. You know, I heard the BLP, the same Verla de Pisa and Guy Samir saying, man, the Attorney General promised an integrity and public life bill to root out corruption, and we didn't see it yet. There are some inconvenient truths. In 2008, the Democratic Labour Party won an election, and David Thompson said, within 100 days, we will have prevention of corruption legislation. Within 100 days, he said, in 2008. They passed it in 2010. And up to the time you rooted them out of the seat of government in this country, they had not put the law in force. But after a year, they want to challenge us because we have not completed the work on our integrity and public life bill. They didn't do it for 10 years. But at the end of a year, they want to demonize us because the work that we are doing painstakingly and carefully is not finished. That is coming in June. And we have also enacted proceeds of crime and instrumentalities legislation so that we are able to go after some of those people who are hiding their ill-gotten gains. And some of them are people who had the faces on posters last election. I know you want to see the faces on different kind of posters, but we will get there. But before my time runs out, because the may have 5 minutes, let me talk about one little thing. We criticized the Democratic Labour Party on the issue of transparency. And 2 weeks ago, I really hate to call his name because it grates whenever I have to mention it. A man named, again, Guy Samirs, the General Secretary of the Democratic Labour Party, a man who was paid $300,000 to do a project for the last administration, and he failed miserably. There wasn't a transparency with that. You get paid, but there wasn't a transparency with that. But he wanted to say that there was an absence of transparency in our dealings with a company called White Oak. White Oak. And you've seen some of the things that they've said. Now let me explain something to you, see. If you have ever been ill, do you find everywhere possible to get the finest medical attention? And you will borrow what you have to borrow, but when it comes to the issue of saving your life or your child's life or your parents' life, you do not spare any effort. Our country was on its deathbed, and it was taken to its deathbed by people called the Democratic Labour Party who now want to talk about White Oak. Now, let me tell you something about White Oak. You know, the old people say, a stitch in time saves 9. Well, this company, White Oak, that we are criticized for hiring, in 2011, on the 28th of June, wrote a letter, this company, White Oak, on the 28th of June 2011, wrote to the then Minister of Finance, a man named Christopher Sinclair. White Oak wrote Chris Sinclair in 2011. And they introduced themselves to the government of Barbados, and they said this: in recent months, we have been closely following developments in Barbados. We understand that there has been some deterioration in public debt indicators and that you are currently in discussions with the IMF over possible strategies for placing the debt burden on a declining path over the medium term. We would welcome an opportunity to present our credentials and to discuss with you how White Oak can leverage its sovereign debt management expertise to help the Barbadian government achieve its debt objectives. Now, a stitch in time saves 9. White Oak came in and assisted this Barbados Labour Party administration, saving us $1 billion a year in interest payments. Had Chris Sinclair had the common sense or common decency to listen to White Oak in 2011, you would have buses on your road. And you would have good roads for them to drive on. Had he listened in 2011, well, White Oak, realizing that Chris Sinclair, they know what they're doing, decided to write another letter in 2014. But they didn't know that they were going from bad to worse. Because this letter that they wrote on the 20th of February 2014, they sent it to Frondell Stewart. Well, if you ain't getting nothing out of Sinclair, you ain't gonna get nothing at all out of Frondell. White Oak. So White Oak wrote another letter to those hardiers Dems and said, we understand that the government of Barbados wishes to identify and evaluate the strategic alternatives that may be available to the authorities for addressing what? Debt challenges currently facing the country. And again, they offered the services. 7 pages of letter. This White Oak. And that, if Frondell Stewart still had a desk, the letter would still be on the desk. And, that's why we love them so-called, the persistent. They're persistent in dealing with the current creditors that we dealing with. They're persistent. And they were persistent then, too. Give me 2 more minutes. Because they wrote Chris Singler again. The 29th of September 2017. But one of the curious features about writing Chris Singler again is this. Again saying that we are available, they said, but we understand that there's a company called New State. New State Partners, I believe it is. New State Partners. That is working with the government of Barbados. Now, New State Partners was brought in by the then governor of the former governor of the Central Bank, you know his name, Delal Worrell, to help the government deal with the same debt challenges. Delal Worrell brought them in and said, this is it. We want your help. We want your help. Delal Worrell did that. But New State, life is funny. New State is now working for the overseas creditors who trying to lock off with fraud. And you know who working with them? The same Delal Worrell. The man who was supposed to protect our foreign exchange and to help to stave off our debt crisis brought New State to Barbados and is now working with New State to help lock off our neck. They say no transparency. He says, Guy Samir said, but you all should have tendered. Now, that's the most absurd thing you could ever want to hear. Because when we came to government, we had no time to tender. If we had come to government and tendered a tendering process, by the time you get the ad and the papers, would have taken 2 weeks. And then the tenders got to be out there for another 6 weeks. Because you can't find people in Barbados to do it, so you got tender all over the world. And then you would have had to make a decision and decide. By then, the patient called Barbados would have been stone dead. The matter for discussion at our first cabinet meeting was whether or not we should engage this same company, White Oak, that has done 7 of the largest restructurings, 7 of the last 11 restructurings over the last 10 years, a company with impeccable record. And we did it. We made the decision at our first cabinet meeting. They want you to believe that we hatched this. A decision was taken by your cabinet at its first meeting. They're playing the music, but let me tell you this, right? Let me tell you this. White Oak is saving us $1 billion a year, and their fees are millions of dollars. But we recognize that our situation was so grave. Grave is the word. We were in the grave that we had to find the finest skills that money could buy to help to resurrect this country. And White Oak was it. And as I walk away from this platform, let me tell you something. They complain about White Oak $27 million fee. A company that's saving us $1 billion a year. A Democratic Labour Party lawyer was asked to quote on a case for the government. The quotation was $7 million. Another Democratic Labour Party lawyer quoted for Cahill, $5 million. BNOC, $5 million. A lawyer named Hal Gollop, and I will call his name because he could put me in court, sent a bill to a government agency called Clearwater for $1.6 million to collect a debt. Not a penny in collect yet. And they want to talk about transparency and people are saving us $1 billion a year. Your government is about solutions. And we are proud of the decisions we make. And we will make them again tomorrow if we had to. But with the help of God, we will never have to make those decisions again. Good night and God bless you.